Could be wrong, I could be right. Could be wrong.
I thought I'd bring it up to you guys. And see what
Well,
you guys feel.
are they capable of? I mean, are the minds cauterized?
They're stodgy.
Stodgy, cauterized.
They're stodgy, man. And
It's
they're
tough
like
to deal with.
clay snakes. You
There's a
know?
lot of work you got to do to get, you know, to the point.
They're
of
older guys?
solidity.
Yeah, one guy's he's the assistant head of the philosophy department.
Too late. Too late in his life.
Maybe.
So before I did, I said, well, one son of a bitch say he teaches in Petaluma. He said, let me study, man, with you guys. I said, I'll bring you up for consideration. I'll bring you up for consideration, and if they say yes, you're in. If they say no, you're not. It's true.
Yeah.
Because the point I see is this, that we're in a hurry now. And your minds are all fresh. They haven't been fucked yet, you know. They haven't been institutionalized. You don't know how fortunate you guys are. I'm serious when I tell you this. You have no idea how
You
fortunate
may
you
may
are.
want to be easy. This is some heavy.
Oh, I better be easy.
This is some heavy. This is the fruit of the vine.
Because if I start being like that, I'll start being goofy, and then nobody will follow. And I had one going the other day, and I was talking about. See, now you guys can understand it, and them stodgy son of a bitches just can't. You know, it had to do with the multiple levels of phenomenology. And that's what we're concerned a lot in the theater, you know, with phenomenology. Because you're dealing with the phenomenon. How far did we get last time? I can't even remember, you know.
Let me go back to some of my notes here. We
Okay, here's something else. Listen to me. What I want you guys to do is, I want you to establish the school. You guys are not listening to me, what I'm telling you. The school is being established by the activities that you're doing. But the school must be established. It has to take on its systems. It already has its systems. Don't, see, the problem you guys have had all your fucking lives, you never found a system to fit into. Now you're developing your systems. See, the systems that's the things that you feel should be pursued. The things that have meaning to you. And so the things that have meaning to you, it's evident then what is meaningless, isn't it? Because to really study what is meaningless, one should first examine what has meaning to him. But in order to examine what has meaning to you, you have to get away from what I like to refer to as secondary meaning things. Things that prompt you to pretend you have meanings toward. Make you concerned about your Corvette, let's say. Make you concerned about certain things, that these things have meaning to me. When in all essence, they might be just a gratification of somebody else's meaning. I mean, to get in contact with him, you have to pose with this meaning. Now, this is what our Todd was talking about in the theater of the doubles. Huh? This concept was permeating through his head. Because you have to realize that our Todd felt it and then tried to explain it through words. Because our Todd was a genius. Why was our Todd a genius? Because he was a visionary. And what is a visionary? Somebody who sees things irrespective of what's going on around him. I mean, there could be a fucking forest fire around him and he's seeing things. He's seeing them, feeling them, like the Brazilian Villalobos, the Brazilian composer. He takes a ride on a fucking freight, not a freight train, a passenger train through the Amazon there, through Brazil, and he writes this fantastic work from it. He also was inspired to compose over 1,000 pieces from this train ride. So what happens is a process that we call synesthesis. It's a process that without expression, a person gets locked up in the crazy house. Like each one of you would go stark raving mad if it wasn't for this theater. You would go stark raving mad. Why is because you would develop throughout your life a whole series of defensive arguments to justify your existence. Does this make sense so far?
Yeah, right.
Does this make sense?
Yeah.
Now this isn't from psychology, this is from philosophy. We are philosophically looking at our position, not psychologically looking at our position. Because I don't know how one would apply a psychological explanation to something that's looking for meaning. Because the more meaning something has, the less fragmented it is. Right? But then could I possibly say the opposite? Could I say that the more fragmented something is, the more meaning it has? And the more holistic it is, the more meaningless it is? Would that make sense if I said it that way? It's up to you. It's up to you to see what makes sense, as long as you know the possibilities of argument. Don't you see? This is a gymnasium.
Yeah.
And what the gymnasium does is we cannot predict what the battle will be. We can't predict it. All we can do is actively work out layers and layers of abstractions and mountains of terms and tools that they've laid down on us, man, and try to mind fuck us with them. You know?
Yeah, psychology calls it deconditioning.
Yeah. And I mean, that's even if we have to study the original works in the original language. I mean, if we had to study classical Greek, we should be able to do that. So if we are in some situation and they're talking about the tragedies, we can take off in the originals out of our mouths, man. Oh no, you start with some of the works of Euripides or Sophocles. You might be able to recite some of the opening lines of Antigone, Oedipus. I mean, you should be able to recite in the classical, man. Just gives finesse to it. You see, Jerry wrote in Greek, man. To be in the realm of absurdity, you have to be able to see multiplicities, to see multiple possibilities. How can you see multiple possibilities if you don't have a hand on that which brought you here? You must know how you came here. Not only should you know the classical Greek, but you should have some familiarity with the works of Cicero or Virgil in the original, the catalyst. You should be able to touch some of it in the original, to hear the tones. This is theater. To hear tones in your ear. Then, amongst all this, we apply the literal, the philosophical, the multiplicities of things. That means, look, what am I talking about is that when you pull them in, you hit it on the head the other night, you said it's in-house. You can't have people helping you that are not from this school.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, that's the fucking lesson we learned, isn't it?
That's what you learned.
Yeah.
You learned already what distance there is already between you and them. Is this egotistical? Is this self-centered?
Yeah, she even said there was something about there that she changed because she didn't understand it.
She didn't understand, so she changed it the way she wanted
Changed
to.
the words because she didn't.
Yeah. Well, this is something that's being taught. This is a lesson. It's a demonstration. Where do you want the lessons to come? They can't come from here.
Yeah, no shit.
Yeah.
See,
I can't give you the lessons
Yeah, no
here.
doubt.
All I can do is spar with you guys.
Yeah,
That's all I'm doing. I'm sparring with you people. I keep showing you that there's other possibilities to fucking read something. Some other way of looking at it. See, some other position. But this is a common give and take. See, like inside the institution, I sit here and never hear you. I'm telling you now, let's say for instance, we're talking about Platonic philosophy, and I would go through all of Plato, and I expect you to approach some problem using that argument. Now I make up the problem. The situation never made up the problem. I made up the problem, and of course the problem has to be academic and reasonable. It can't take any emotion. It can't, well, why are we here? If we can't approach human emotion, if we can't approach the physical and the spiritual, where do they belong? There is physical reality. Who's Catholic here? Yeah, you guys Catholic. Okay, so I don't know how deep the Protestants move into this, but not as deep. The concept of spirit to the Catholic is in more degrees, more severe than the concept of spirit in the Protestant. Because the spirit in the Protestant has been modified and a lot of its magic has been taken away from it, and it's made into a very practical, functional. God's blessed those who prosper. See? Well, that's not the concept of spirit in the Catholic world, see? Because the Catholic world is the original church. That's the mother church of Christianity. And all the dogma, all the rituals, all the rites are locked in it. You can't take that away from them. The Protestants could throw it out because they wanted change. So we get almost a historical axiom that it seems like order must be destroyed in order for order, essence, to reappear again. Like things don't give up their positions easily. Like, why am I raising this without going too further into it? Because in theater, it's the same thing. They call it experimental theater, but it's not experimental theater. It's the same fucking thing that they've always been doing. See, it's not a participation. It's not something that everybody can get involved in. I mean, people in a theater have to sit down and they become the audience, the spectators, while the actors up there are the agents. And then you're supposed to tell them what's taking place. Well, shit, wonder if we get everybody in there $15 and they all become part of the fucking performance. Feel comfortable, folks, to fart amongst each other. I mean, that's why you're here, not to hold hands together or to hug, but to fart together. There might be objections to odors, but think when all the odors, 2 quarts per person, mingles, when it mingles. This is almost a syntax of catalyst. Catalyst. He wrote parody. He wrote such scathing things that Caesar told him he's going to run, Julius told him he's going to run him out of town, man, if he didn't shut up. He said, I'll run you out, he says, to the farthest reaches of the world. And Catalyst told him, he said, then you'll heal me from the far reaches of the world. He's an absurdist. He's one of our fathers. He's one of our patron saints, man. He's one of our teachers. He's one of our masters. If you have to worship the people that help free you. Huh? If Jesus didn't free you, then maybe Virgil did. Or Catalyst. Or Buphalus, the Greek paradist. Or Aristophanes. Maybe these are the people that one should thank for helping to free us from the fucking tyranny, man, that mankind has shown to mankind all along. You know, strange as this might seem, this is almost Pythagorean as a cult. You have to be born like this. You can't be made like this. We fringe on outlawry. You know, we fringe on it, man. We stay right on the peripheries of what? Because we're always questioning order, because this is how order becomes order again. Like we're the escape valves of a period. Like we're no good. We weren't no good in the 60s. The whole fucking thing was on another freaky revolution, man. The 50s, it was no good for us. These fucking beats. I tell you, I worked on a railroad with Kerouac, Jack Kerouac. I was about 4 years younger than him, 4 or 5 years younger. And I worked on a railroad with him, man. He was a switchman, right? And I was a fireman on a steam engine in a yard, a goat. And we were both young and we were both bullshitting each other, and he told me this fucking book. I know you know Jack Kerouac?
Yeah, sure.
Oh, right, yeah. He told me about this book he's making, you know. And he brings me parts of it to read, and I can't make sense of it. I know what he was talking about. I swear. I talked to him a lot. He had a chip on his shoulder. The world was a world full of squares and shit like that. We couldn't talk to squares. You can't talk to the squares. It's the fucking upper classes that you're talking to, man. These guys were all pseudo-intellectuals. They were. They were all pseudo-intellectuals. Like, Kerouac was a school dropout. See, people are too smart for Kerouac now. People are too smart for Ginsberg. People are too smart for Ferlinghetti. They're just old lampposts. They're just like Victorian gaslights. Don't you see that?
Yeah. Well, I feel that same thing when I
We were
read that shit.
seething at that time, man, listening to that shit. You know, trying to do something, and nothing could happen. Man, nothing. I mean, we had to fucking all take off and go to Europe for it to happen. For us, it happened over there, not here. You know, like in Europe we're known, over here we're not. Nobody knows who the fuck we are here. Nobody ever dares perform these fucking plays. They don't dare perform them, man. They don't dare perform. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, sure do. They can't afford to perform them.
That's a polite way of saying that you don't dare to do them.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. This is why you're not looking in years. There is no competition. There is none anywhere, man. I mean, it's wide open. And it's ready, and it's as ripe as I've ever seen it. Oh, I always had the energy to get out there. But see, I'm fortunate now. Like, I have extended arms. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's right.
They're extended arms. They're like sitting here, hoping and wishing something would happen, and it happens. It's going to grow. You guys are going to take on. You'll find people. Soon it will be a multitude. That's the way the Platonic school started, and the Aristotelian school started, 3 or 4 people. And it became a school. It became a system. It encompassed, then it became order, and something else took it apart.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you can't look at the 21st century without this type of philosophy. It's impossible. You can't do it, man. It's too quick. It's filled with multiplicities. You don't have time to question. You have to formulate new questions. See, the questions, what we're learning is the questioning process, not so much the conclusionary process.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What we're studying is how to raise the issues, how to formulate the questions, and how to seek within the question its own intrinsic meaning. Each question, grasp this, man, each question has intrinsic to it a meaning. A question is really an isolation of something. To form a question, you must confine something. Now, is the form sent out with the question that does the confining? You can't ask a question such as, why are we here? You can't ask that question. Why can't you ask that? You can just ask it.
Yeah, right, you just did, but you can't ask.
Why can't you ask it? It's not a question of may. the question of the ability to ask such a question. Well, there is no answer forthcoming. You know, like somebody says, well, so what? It's the same answer again. I mean, no, so what? The answer is,
There's
it's
no
not
answer.
a question because there's no answer forthcoming to a so what. It's posed as a question. But it's really not a question. It's an attitude, a very direct attitude that the person is telling you, who gives a shit?
Yeah.
Yeah, who gives a shit, he's asking. Are you expecting me to answer you? All right. Then you might go through 30 names of these people. I mean, pataphysically, you caught him in the air. You follow me?
Yeah, I'm right with you.
Pataphysically, you caught him in the air. Procedurally, thinking-wise, methodologically, the system used would catch you flat-footed. Wouldn't it?
The system he uses?
No, because so what would interrupt the statement that you were making, wouldn't it? If you were saying the death of your mother or somebody dear to you, the guy says, so what? If that's so what, he's impersonal. You might say that he's a Buddha or somebody you might say he's trying to instruct you in Zen. But he's definitely not being compassionate in the Western sense. Right?
Mm.
So we would expect some form of empathy. Wouldn't we?
Yeah, the Western expects empathy.
Yeah, the Westerner expects empathy in all its forms. The Westerner expects to be understood. The Westerner expects to have a good relationship if a lot of rules are placed into it. No problem if you got a good contract. So palimony now are 20, 25-page contracts. Palimony contracts. Man, they're huge. This guy that I know, man, he showed me one, 25 pages. Yeah, man, they had paper clips figured out.
Jesus.
Oh, man. Fragmentations of reality beyond conception. Beyond conception. Beyond conception. Unbelievable. The part that we are attacking is the most visual part of the senses. Right? It's visual, man, that we're attacking. And then we're offending the audio and the olfactory senses. We're offending them.
Oh, God.
That's one of the biggest asked questions. Is this a contest for smell?
You want to hear something?
No, for stench.
Hey, listen to this. This cousin of my daughter. He came up. He's about 40 years old, and he joins these fucking things, man. These Moore houses. You ever heard of the Moore
Oh,
houses?
the sex
sex
house,
houses?
sex therapy, and all that
Yeah,
shit.
and these other things where they go every Tuesday or Wednesday night and they ask themselves questions and holdouts and all that. And I didn't understand what the fuck they were talking about, really, man. But I came to figured it out. Like all these people suffer from inability to express themselves. I mean, see, like we don't know what that is.
Yeah.
Don't you understand that, man?
Yeah, ability.
You understand what the fuck is going on? They do not have the ability to express, and they go to these fucking places that gives them some things to work with, and then they meet each other there. And it's like these mongoloids. It's like these mongoloids who fall in love with each other in these mongoloid sessions, you know, where they keep them in these schools. So it'd be wonderful to have a love play of mongoloids. Oh, it would be wonderful. Where even a beautiful film of that to be made. Wouldn't that be gorgeous? Huh? Because it has that disgusting aspect to it of that natural unreality of the form. You know, almost that sense of disgust.
As a constant. Every time you see the face, you
Yeah,
just go
they're
away.
licking each other.
Oh.
Yeah.
You'd have so many people on your case for making a joke of this thing.
Man, as a boy, I remember this image just flashed in my mind again. This stays forever with me. I walked into this bathroom, I was 5, 6, 7 years old, and there's this mongoloid boy. There's these little mongoloids that were in our class, right? And he's got his pants down to here. He's sitting in the middle of the bathroom. He's squatting down, and he's shitting with shit all below him. And he's got this just amazing expression on his face, as if some gargoyle, right? It's just, I'll never forget
You should have
that.
drawn it. That was beautiful.
Oh, I ran out.
Oh, Jesus, you should draw it for us.
Yeah, recall it in
you
your
should
memory and draw it up.
Search into fucking areas of expression you bastards have never even attempted. It's in-house. We have to do it all.
Yeah.
There's things inside of you that you didn't even know existed.
That's right.
But it's the fucking need to do it now that's going to bring it out. You're gonna cover off your theoretical lack of theoreticals with inventiveness of the moment, man. Because you see, you're not don't have enough bullshit in your head to give it artistic criticisms, you know, and whether it's good artistically or not. The work will explode. You'll do by invention, by necessity. You see? So I mean, these are the tools that we're fucking looking to examine. Like every time something happens, what benefit did it have to the play? Yeah, did you see the producers?
Yeah.
Did you see it, Tom?
I saw it.
Yeah, we saw it. Yeah,
That's the concept right there.
Yeah.
I mean, they tried to destroy the play, and the play kept becoming more famous. Make a fortune. They try to ruin the play by getting the worst actors, the worst everything.
Who's this? This
This
is
is
the character.
the characters in the movie.
Oh, that's classic.
The producers.
Springtime for Hitler, Germany.
Yeah, that's what it was, right? So that's an indication you see of the theater of the absurd. He's in the theater of the absurd. I mean,
The
Blazing
Jew.
Saddles was an attempt.
It was an attempt, yeah. It really doesn't cut it, though. There's something lacking.
No.
It's campy.
Too
And
humorous.
Yeah, it's glitzy, schmaltzy.
yeah, it refers to the vulgar. Like when Mel Brooks did his farting sequence, it didn't enter the absurd. It looked at the absurd,
Yeah,
but it was
right, you're
it was
right,
the
yeah.
vulgar, you know.
Yeah, right.
It,
It had a sense of disgust to it.
Yeah,
It wasn't
exactly.
funny.
It
It
wasn't-
wasn't make you laugh.
it
You
wasn't
know?
absurd. It didn't just
Yeah.
explode.
Could be wrong. I could be